Welcome, everybody. Friday, May 31st. John Aravosis here at the Aravosis Report. Checking my lighting. There we go. Bright enough. Welcome all. I'm starting relatively on time. Good for me. Anyway, how are we doing today? Busy, busy, busy. Well, not really too much news. I mean, not too much new news. I actually have a lot of news, but it's not. The huge news was last night, of course, with Donald Trump now being a convicted felon and Ukraine getting permission to use American weapons across the border. But there's some details on that we'll get into. Let me go live on TikTok. There we go. And then we discuss. Right, hang on. Here's TikTok. Boom. All righty. There's TikTok. I will get my water. We'll wait a minute and then we'll get rolling. So yes, crazy busy day. Busy, busy, busy. Oh boy. Actually, get this over here maybe. Oh, hey TikTok. Hello all. Just let me know when you can hear me. Hey TikTokers. Oh boy. Hey Swan. Busy, busy, busy. Busy, busy, busy. You hear me? You can hear me. You can hear me. You can hear me. Thank you, Yulia. Oh boy. Anyway, hey all. So yes, another busy day. The news is good news. I mean, nothing too bad. Thank you, Mustard, for the gift. Hello, Yvonne or Yvonne in Ireland. And Anthony in Ireland. I've got like Ireland on YouTube and TikTok saying from the same time. Excellent. Love our Irish. Thank you, John, for the gift. I did not watch the documentary. Nope. I'm not opposed to it. Just haven't done it. I'm not as much of I used to be a documentary guy. I'm less of a documentary guy now. But once they're like on and I start watching, I get sucked into them. Bonjour tous. Although I think you can say tous and mean everybody, Gunther. I would argue. Hey, buddy. Thank you for sharing the live. So hi, everybody. So yeah, busy the last 24 hours. Donald Trump is now a convicted felon. And Ukraine has permission to use American weapons to fire across the border, which is very cool. Some restrictions on that and some confirmation on that today, which is good. We will talk about that. But otherwise, all is well. Remember, tomorrow we've got our coffee talk, which is our coffee talk, where I hold a special show for the paid monthly subscribers on TikTok and YouTube. And it's just for you guys. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time, U.S., Saturday morning. And as I said, it'll be just for you guys and me. It's a nice smaller group for that reason. And I do not give a presentation. It's more us hanging out and talking, and people tend to really like it. So yay. So make sure you join us tomorrow morning for that. I'm going to get rolling, I guess. And then we'll, keep doing what we do. So you guys remember how the show works. I will go through the news first, and then I'll take your guys' questions and comments. I will also occasionally kind of look to the screen for any comments that might sort of be relevant to what we're discussing right now. Thank you, Ali. And thank you. Not even thank you, Eli or Ellie. I keep calling you Eli, Ellie. Thank you for that, for the gift as well. But yeah, I will also sometimes kind of look and see what's going on the screen, but usually when I'm reading the news, I don't. Yes, we knew this already, I think. I think we knew that about Belgium. It's, oh no, I'm sorry. We knew that about the Dutch. The Belgians are the ones being the problem with that. All right, guys, let's get rolling. Thank you, Chazak, for the gift. Thank you, Richard. Let's get rolling. So welcome, guys. I am John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report. It's my show I do Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. We talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Thank you, World is My Oyster, for the gift on TikTok. The way the show works, like I said, I go through the news. Second half of the show, take your questions, your comments. We get into a big discussion. Please do keep the gifts coming, like Alan just did on TikTok. I do this full time. I do it for a living. Your gifts quite literally pay the bills and let me keep doing the show. So if you like the show and can afford it, thank you, Ava, for the orange. We have the orange picked as the special gift today on TikTok for obvious reasons. I don't know. Can you guys, I never really know on YouTube what you guys can access. Actually, even you guys on TikTok, can you access like an orange emoji? I wasn't sure like whether there's a larger emoji database you can access. On TikTok, I'm not convinced. You got the gift there. Thank you, Marie. But like on YouTube, I think there might be a larger emoji database. Yeah, there you go. Michael Darling got it. I thought there was. Yeah, YouTube has access. TikTok, actually TikTok. Oh, there you go. Okay. So you guys can put other emojis in. I see Max and Bash and Swan. Okay. Didn't know that. Very cool. Thank you, Adventures, for the gift. So yes, Orange is our color today. Actually, I don't have an orange shirt. I used to years ago. I should have looked for my orange to celebrate, but I don't have orange. Orange doesn't quite look. Orange looks a little weird on me. It looks a little too Halloweeny, you know. Anyway, thank you. Who was that with the latest little orange, Mr. Orange from Swan? Thank you. And yes, we don't do the other one because you'll get banned for that other one, Max or Pedro. Pedro, Max. Yeah. Like, do not even joke with that one because the mods will get you. And that is the way it is. All right, guys, let's get rolling here. Today is day 827 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Tomorrow morning, as I said, we've got our coffee talk. Thank you, Crazy American. Join us tomorrow morning if you are a paid monthly subscriber. That's all the folks with SNN next to their name, like Martin and Ash and others on TikTok. That's all of you whose names are green on YouTube. You either bought a monthly subscription, which I thank you for, or you are the recipient of a gift subscription that someone bought for you, which is very nice of them. You get it for 1 month. And among other things, you get to access the Saturday show, which is really cool. So join us tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. All right. So U.S. Secretary of State Blinken confirmed today that, yes, in fact, the U.S. has given Ukraine permission to attack Russian territory using American weapons. Thank you, Jack, for the gifts. And Jen, this is a big deal. As you know or may know, the Russians have been attacking a lot lately in Kharkiv, Ukraine. I will show you the map. Thank you, Jetta. They've been attacking Kharkiv in the area around here, and they've been doing it where? From here. Well, what is here? Thank you, Brian, for that. What is here? Russia. This is all the Russian border with Ukraine over here. So the Russians were amassing troops on one side of the border and basically firing into Ukraine, and the Ukrainians couldn't fire back with NATO weapons because NATO had said, we don't want you using our weapons to fire into Russia because that would be escalatory and Putin would get angry. So the Russians said, great, we'll just line up all our weapons and you can't fire back, right? Thank you, Kevin. Well, a number of NATO countries in the last couple of weeks, it started with the Brits maybe a month ago, but then a number of NATO countries in the last week, pretty much everybody who matters except Italy stood up and said, it's okay if you use our weapons to fire into Russia, go for it. Biden was holding off. Finally, yesterday, Biden came around and said, yes, Ukraine can use American weapons to fire into Russian territory. Thank you, Jen. But there's a caveat, and Blinken confirmed it today. Listen to this. The Ukrainians, U.S. officials say, thank you, Chris, for the orange. U.S. officials say the new policy allows Kyiv to use U.S.-supplied weapons to fire back against Russian forces attacking them or preparing to attack them from across the border. Now, the areas across the border initially we thought was just Kharkiv. Now we believe it is also Sumy. Sumy is a town up here. So here and here, which is actually good, and it should be the case, because we knew the Russians were building up new troops up here, so they might be trying to play games up here too. Still a restriction here, though. The Ukrainians can attack using our weapons across the border in this area, and if in this area, and if and only if they're being attacked by those forces or they're about to be attacked by their forces. So if the Russians just happen to have a military base in the area, Ukrainians may not be able to attack it. So there's still some kind of BS restrictions on this, but hey, it's still pretty good. Let me look a little more here. Germany also came out today and said that Ukraine can use German-supplied weapons to strike legitimate military targets in Russia, so that's good. Rob Lee, a senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute's Eurasia program, he's a defense expert I follow on Twitter. He's very good. He weighed in today and said that Russia has been exploiting Biden's prohibition on strikes inside Russian territory by using Russian territory as a safe haven to launch attacks into Kharkiv. Russia could keep its artillery right across the border. It could keep air defense, electronic warfare, command and control there. I don't think, but he did say, I don't think the decision is going to change the movement of the front line that much, if at all, but it will make it much more difficult for Russia to continue this kind of cross-border operation. In other words, this is not going to necessarily, change the war. It's not like, oh my God, Ukraine wins. Now they're going to take all their land back. But it makes it much harder for the Russians to do anything, because the Russians initially thought they could just mass their troops and Ukraine couldn't touch them. Now they know they're going to mass the troops and Ukraine's going to blow the bejesus out of them. So that's good. A little here. Phil Ingram, a former British military intelligence officer, said Biden's decision will reduce Kyiv's need to draw troops away from critical battlefronts in eastern Donbass. The Russians are now going to find themselves on the back foot and will have to rethink the tactics they have been using in their attack into Kharkiv. What this means is, and this is important too, up until now, right, the Russians have been attacking in the Kharkiv region, and the Ukrainians, in order to defend themselves and fight back, have been having to take troops from eastern Ukraine, from the area here where the Russians are also fighting, and the Ukrainians don't want to move troops from eastern Ukraine, right? If they move troops from here all the way up here, they're weakening their troops here. This is going to make it much easier for the Ukrainians to keep their troops further down, which is great. Again, it may just across the board, it strengthens the Ukrainians, which is great. British Ministry of Defense, karma moment for the Russians. The British MOD says the Russians now have 500,000 casualties from the war in Ukraine. Casualties, remember, is a military term which means killed or injured. Okay, it can be both killed or wounded, or I should say killed and wounded, both are considered casualties. Still, 500,000 is huge. It's since the start of the war. They said that the British, again, this is British Ministry of Defense, Russian losses have continued at a high level in 2024. And in May, the average Russian personnel casualties were over 1,200 per day, the highest reported since the start of the war. They say the elevated casualty rate is likely a reflection of Russia's ongoing attritional offensive, which is being conducted across a wide front. What they mean is Russia is got a big offensive going on across a large area, but they're not really succeeding, and they're getting themselves killed and they're getting the Ukrainians killed, but both sides are basically just blowing each other up. It's not accomplishing much. Therefore, the Russians are losing a lot of men. Also, British Ministry of Defense says one of the big problems the Russians are having and why they're losing so many men is they've got a lot of soldiers that are new, right? Putin has drafted a lot of new men. They've lost a lot of men. I mean, they didn't have a choice but to draft a lot of new men. Well, these guys, they're new. They don't have a lot of training, and they don't know how to fight. And they're getting killed and they're getting wounded because they don't know how to fight. So the good news there is that going forward, Russia has the same problem. It is still pulling up more men, and it's still pulling up more men or drafting more men, and all those new draftees are still going to be pretty bad soldiers, which is good for Ukraine. Anyway, what else we got here? Oh, yeah. Yet another Russian senior official issued yet another meaningless nuclear threat today, and I don't care because nobody cares. It's a bluff. I'm not even going to tell you the details of it because I read it and I laughed when I read it. It was just like, go away. It's the drunk who said it, by the way. So Kyiv Independent, this was good news. So Kyiv Independent reports that drones operated by the security services of Ukraine destroyed a Russian long-range radar system in Crimea overnight. This was last night, actually. The system was worth around $100 million. The radar was monitoring a 380-kilometer or 235-mile long sector of the front and helped to protect Russian military facilities in Crimea. So that's good. Yeah. Again, Ukraine, almost every day, they've been going after targets in Crimea, and they've been, in military terms, it's called shaping. They have been going and just damaging and damaging and damaging and damaging. And it's almost like, imagine like, what's the thing, like a flea going after an elephant kind of thing. But like the idea is a million fleas going after that elephant again and again. Finally, the elephant collapses. So pretty cool. Very good. Hold on, just adjusting my little thing here on YouTube. There we go. The Ukraine is to receive the first slice of frozen Russian assets revenue this summer. So I'm translating from French. Tranche, which is the first allotment of frozen Russian assets revenue this summer, according to the European Union. Thank you, Pedro, for the gift. This is a situation where basically what the EU did is they can't take Russian assets and just give them to Ukraine because that would be illegal, right? I mean, Russia's done very bad things in the war, but you can't just take their money. In Russia, you can do stuff like that because they don't follow the rule of law. But the rest of the world, at least the civilized world, we don't do that because we have courts, and courts will step in and say, no, you can't just take Russia's money because you say they're bad, right? You got to follow the law. Well, what they can do and what the European Union did do is they said that they are taking basically the profits from Russia's money. Russia's money is frozen and it's earning interest. Legally, apparently, they're able to take the interest and give the interest to Ukraine. So that's what they're doing. So the Ukraine's going to get the first allotment. I'm not sure how much it is very soon, which is great this summer. Ukraine just signed 3 new long-range security agreements with Sweden, Iceland, and Norway. Karma moment here. Actually, again, I'll remind you guys about the gifts. I hate to keep telling you, but I appreciate the gifts, but I need them. I need them. Do this for free. Do it full time. Your guys' gifts pay the bills. I know it's the mantra. I hate asking for gifts, but it does help to keep the show going and helps me keep doing this. So please, if you can, I appreciate it. And memberships, the monthly memberships are great too. Maybe even do some gift memberships. The mods can tell you how to do it on TikTok and YouTube. Those are very helpful too. Buy them for somebody else in the audience. So, oh yes, 2 Russian soldiers were found stabbed to death in occupied Crimea this morning. Thank you, Jen, for the gift. According to a Telegram report, the 40-year-old local resident of Crimea attacked 3 Russian men or 3 men, I should say, 2 of which at least were Russian troops. Thank you, Hedge, for the gift, with a knife. By all reports, the Russians started it. Listen to this. 2 men who were servicemen, the Russians, died in the attack. The 3rd man was hospitalized in shock and suffered injuries to his hand and to the area near his kidneys. According to report on Telegram, the social media company, some reports claim the 3 men attacked listen to this. Talk about karma. The 3 Russians, including, or I should say 3 men, 2 of whom were Russian soldiers, attack a passerby and begin to beat him. The passerby takes out a knife and stabs them and kills 2 of them. That would suggest that the Russians attacked the wrong passerby. If 3 Russians, 2 of whom at least are troops, we don't know who the 3rd one was, but 2 men, 2 Russian soldiers, along with a 3rd, attack a Ukrainian walking by, and the Ukrainian kills them. Now, I'm assuming Ukrainian, we don't know, right? Russia's been occupying Crimea for a number of years, so it's entirely possible that that's the case too. What's going on here? Oh, another report, a different report said the 3 men made a remark to a group drinking on the beach before the fight broke out. So either way, the reports are the Russians started it, and as Jen just said, didn't work out too well for them. So, hey, Taylor, thank you for the gift. Oh, well, karma's a bitch. Chechen man was arrested in France for plotting terrorist attacks on the Olympics. Don't know anything else about that. Interesting, though, considering Chechnya's relationship with Russia with the war. You know, they're very supportive of the war effort. It's just interesting to me that a Chechen would be going to do a terrorist plot at the Olympics in Paris that Russia pretty much has been banned from, at least banned from being there as a country. They're not allowed a country team. So, you know, who knows? France says, oh, this was kind of good. Actually, this is very good. France says Russia will not be invited next week to the D-Day celebrations. I believe next week is this is 2024. This has got to be the 79th celebration, right? Something said 80th, but I don't think so, right? This is 2024. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, no, D-Day was 44. 45 was Pacific. Yeah, it is 80. Yeah. I keep thinking 45 being when the war ended, but that was the Pacific. Yeah. So it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Thank you, Cindy. If you don't know what D-Day is, Google it. Wonderful description on Google. But basically, it is the day that the Allies, I don't want to miss any of that. Help me out here, guys. I know UK, British, Americans, Canadians. Who else do we have? I don't want to miss anybody. Who else was involved in D-Day in landing on the beaches in Normandy, France? Basically, big Allied front came, huge numbers of men, Australian, French. Thank you. That's right. I do remember Australian. Thank you, Julio. The French. Anybody else? I don't want to miss anybody, guys. Indians, get out. Seriously? Seriously, though? Is that true? Gee? There were Indian troops? Get out of there. Your grandfather was there? Wow. How interesting. Oh, wow. Indian troops. That's amazing. Well, I guess, the British colonial connection maybe, or I don't know. Oh, how interesting. Polish, Greece. Oh, that's very interesting. I did not know about the other ones. Netherlands, Canada, I mentioned. We knew about Canada. Interesting. Okay. Well, so basically, a huge number of men stormed this beach, incredibly dangerous situation because the Russians were occupying it, and the Russians were just opening fire on these guys. I mean, horrific. Okay, that one made me, the troll on TikTok actually just made me laugh. That was that one I'm not going to repeat what he said, but that one made me laugh. In any case, what did I say? The Russians? Yeah, the Germans, I may have said the Russians. The Germans were occupying France, northern France, had basically, horrific defenses along this beach. And the Allied troops had to come in by boat, by landing craft, and pretty much get dumped in the water, and they're trudging through the water with their weapons, getting shot at by the Germans. And the Germans are, in safe little bunkers and things. Some of the bunkers are still there. It's kind of wild visiting them. You also, in northern France, Normandy, you will also see some of the big holes in the ground from the bombs. I mean, it's really wild when you go there that all this stuff is still there 80 years later. In any case, lots and lots. How many died? How many died in the invasion of Normandy? The first day or two. I mean, I can ask Alexa. They knew it was going to be a deadly invasion. They knew we were going to lose a lot of troops. And that is a big part of the reason why Normandy is so significant, because A, it was very successful, but B, very deadly to our troops. And we knew that. Alexa, how many troops died in the D-Day invasion?
Here's something I found on reference.com. On D-Day, over 4,400 Allied soldiers died, as did between 4,000 and 9,000 German soldiers. This battle.
Well, we don't care about that.
Larger campaign of the Battle of Normandy, which led to
She's saying, okay, Alexa, stop. She's saying 4,000 died that day. That's a lot, 4,500. Yeah, half were Americans. Wow. Any case, big deal. So it's the 80th anniversary, and the French didn't invite the Russians to be there. And the Russians are all upset. And they didn't invite the Russians because of Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine. By the way, thank you, Andre. I'm going to say Andre or Andrish. Maybe Andrish. I'm going to try to pronounce your name correctly on YouTube. Just bought 5 gift memberships. That Paula, WC, John, and Gunther. Was there a 5th? Yes, Possum Nation. All got them. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Andrish. All of you guys, feel free to join us tomorrow morning. If you're around 11 a.m., come to TikTok, Discord, or YouTube and join us. So anyway, so the Russians weren't invited. Now, the reason this is a particularly delicious slight to the Russians is the Russians like to pretend that they're the only people who fought in World War II, them and the Germans. The Russians like to pretend that they won World War II single-handedly. Not only do they pretend it, first of all, I was wondering about this too. Romanuk just asked, were Russians even in Normandy? What's the deal with that, by the way? I mean, I'm going to get into the issue with Russia and World War II in a second, but were the Russians even involved in Normandy? They put out this crazy quote that said it was because of us that Normandy was a success. And it was like, how was it because of you that Normandy was a success? Does anybody even know how they're trying to claim it? They're trying to claim that they did something that made Normandy a success, like whatever they were doing fighting the Germans in the East. Anyway, this is classic Russia, okay? They weren't even involved in D-Day, and they're claiming, well, we should have been at the celebration because we were, whatever. My suspicion is they normally would have been invited because they were an allied. They were an allied power at that point. So they were part of the Allied coalition at that point. A couple years before, they were part of the Russian the Nazi coalition. The Russians were actually allies with Hitler. They reached a secret pact with him, or maybe not so secret, Molotov-Ribbentrop pact, and the Russians basically told the Nazis, "Go for it, invade Europe. We don't care. We're going to go take Poland and Eastern Europe. You go and invade the rest of Europe. Have a good time. We're not going to attack you." And the Germans basically, I mean, again, there are some people out there who know the history certainly better than I do, but the Germans basically said, "Excellent. Let's start World War II. The Russians aren't going to touch us." So Russia actually played a very big hand in the start of World War II because they were allies with the Germans. Well, a couple of years later, the Germans turned around and attacked the Russians. And oops, the Russians suddenly went to war with the Germans after they were allies with the Germans. Subsequently, the Russians did lose a lot of men and women fighting the Germans. Absolutely. Of course, they were their allies. So, maybe they wouldn't have lost so many had they not actually helped Germany start World War II, but who's arguing? The other thing is, as somebody just pointed out, George Nelson just said, the U.S. saved Russia with Lend-Lease, and that is very true. The Americans were there, the Brits as well, probably some other allied powers, but the Brits and the Americans certainly. We gave Russia, the Soviet Union, so much. I mean, from trucks, rail, all sorts of things, radios, that helped them defeat tanks, that helped them defeat the Nazis. We were there for them. Again, without our help, it would have been difficult. Now, they lost a lot of men and women. I'm going to not knock their sacrifice. I am going to knock the fact that they were literally friends with the Germans and helped start World War II. And the fact that, like I said, we helped. We helped a lot to make sure Russia didn't die at the hand of the Germans and that they don't speak German today. Thank you, John Flowers. And the Russians returned the favor by literally pretending that they're the only power that did anything in World War II. Anything. It's obnoxious. It's classic Russian. But what's interesting about it is that's why it's so interesting that the French did this. And it's so, frankly, bitchy that the French did this. Kicking the Russians out of a World War II celebration is just delicious because it is the only, I mean, this is how here's the really sad part. Russia defines its identity today based on the victory over the Nazis in World War II. Guys, I'm sorry, it's embarrassing. All well and good, and I'm very proud that we helped beat the Nazis, and a lot of you guys out there did too, right? Very proud. If you peg your national identity today, like your pride you have as a Swede or whatever the hell you are, is because you defeated the Germans 80 years ago, I think that's kind of screwed up. I think you got a little bit of a problem psychologically there if that's your big claim to fame today, right? I mean, literally nobody in America walks around and goes, "Hey, World War II." I mean, sure, we do on like Memorial Day or something, right? When we honor our dead. Thank you, John. But it's not like the defining aspect of our national identity at all. And I mean, and we've obviously played a huge role. It just isn't. I mean, it's important. It's important, but not like the Russians. The Russians just go crazy about defining World War II so that when they get not invited, it's the biggest slap ever. That's why it's so interesting what the French did. Thank you, Hannah, for the gift. Wilma, Hannah with a second gift. Anyway, so very interesting on that front. All right. Polish state news agency was hit by a cyber attack. Officials are saying it was the Russians. I just sort of bring it up because, again, it's so immature of them. This is the stuff the Russians do. You're going to do a cyber attack against the Polish state news agency. Ooh, scary. It's just trying to be obnoxious. I mean, that's all it is. It's simply trying to be obnoxious. That's the reason they're doing it. A U.S. philanthropist is going to fund the restoration of Kharkiv's printing house destroyed by Russia. This came via the Kyiv Independent. You may recall the Russians did a horrific attack on Kharkiv, Ukraine over the weekend. Remember, they killed like at least 19 people, injured 44, attacking a home improvement store like a Home Depot or Leroy Merlin or whatever. We were talking about different European stores. U.S. philanthropist Howard Buffett Foundation will finance the restoration of the Kharkiv-based Factor Druk printing house destroyed in the Russian missile strike. Russian troops struck the printing house on May 23rd, killing 7 people and injuring 21 in the printing house alone. The attack destroyed over 50,000 books and printing equipment. It could be restored within 4 to 5 months if all goes well. And that's it for the news. I thought I had more news. Let me look. I don't have more news. That's it for the news. Funny, I had like 5 pages of news, but it went quickly. I didn't even have coffee. I mean, I had coffee this morning, but I didn't even have coffee before the show. So before we get to the Q&A, this is the part of the show we hang out, we talk, you give me your opinion. I'm going to show you the new auction items. We've got a lot of new auction items over at Discord. They're very cool. I auction off stuff mostly from Ukraine. Not always. I did not take my inhaler. This is just natural John high at the moment for whatever reason. I think I'm still dealing with, Trump is now a convicted felon. Thank you, Chazak. And Ukraine is able to strike within Russia. So it's been a pretty good 24 hours, let's face it. So the auctions, we've got our new auctions up. Every week I do auctions to benefit Ukraine. Half the money from the auctions for the proceeds, that I get from you guys. Thank you, Nicola. Half the money goes to Ukraine. Half the money I take because it helps pay the bills, but the other half, 50%, I give to Ukraine. And by the way, I want to make sure I did thank you guys, Chazek, Sexeed, Nicolas. So let me show you a couple of different things. Probably my favorite piece is, Vlad sent me this, a Ukrainian mug. It is the Russian warship Go F Yourself mug. Says it in Ukrainian, Ruski Vani, Koral, Itzi Nahui. I'm probably pronouncing it iffy, but I'm close enough. And it shows the Moskva, the Russian ship that the Ukrainians sank with their own cruise missile. The Ukrainians made a Neptune cruise missile. And the best part was, two things. It was the prize of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. It was their number one ship, and the Ukrainians sank it 6 weeks into the war. The other best part is this is the ship where they went to attack a Ukrainian island, Snake Island, and there were Ukrainian troops on the island, and the Russians said, and this was all recorded, the Russians said, Ukrainian troops, this is Russian warship. Go and surrender or we will kill you. And the Ukrainian commander got on the radio, and it was all recorded and went public. Got on the radio and said, Russian warship, go fuck yourself. And he said it in Ukrainian, and the Russians were like livid. So 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians sank the ship. Anyway, it's a beautiful mug. This is being auctioned off. A couple other things. We've got a new ornament. These are Christmas ornaments, but honestly, they're for anything. This is Ukrainian Petrokivka. It is a style of painting that's very pretty, handmade. I've got more description of it over there, but it's absolutely lovely. It's a Christmas ornament, but it also is just for, this. I personally would put this on a window. I'd put a suction cup on a window, and this would make me very happy. A few other things. I've actually got a fun little, come on in, dog. You're not going to eat wood. Come on, come. I've got a fun little fridge magnet I picked up in Singapore. This is a merlion. A merlion is the symbol of Singapore. It is a half mermaid or half fish, half lion. Like I said, symbol of Singapore. I thought it was kind of a unique fridge ornament. Anybody who collects, I like fridge ornaments. Anybody who collects fridge ornaments, anyway, I bought it there. So you can check that out. This pin is very neat. And Dawn had told me about these. I was not aware of the backstory, and the backstory is even better. So this pin is of a home, a Ukrainian home that is basically destroyed. The glass is shattered. Okay, you can see. There's a Ukrainian heart on the front of it, blue and yellow, because blue and yellow are the official Ukrainian colors. And you can see the back. The back has two little posts for it going on your, basically, here. This shows you kind of how big it is. You I could do this and make a Star Trek communicator upside down. What is neat about this, which I did not realize, this was a charity, or is a charity. So we bought them already, obviously. Each pin finances therapy for one Ukrainian child, 1 day of therapy for one Ukrainian child who's suffering in the war. So really extra cool, which I like the pins anyway, but I thought what a neat thing that each pin is financing the therapy for one kid who was hurt in the war. So anyway, they're very pretty. Each one's unique, which is nice too, because of it being sort of the shattered glass. Each one is a little bit different. Okay, good. The dog's being good. I don't have to get her water yet. A couple other things. Oh, okay. I'm going to show you all. It's Friday night. I'm showing you all of this. The auctions will go till next Friday. You can find them over at our Discord community. Discord is over at, basically go to aravosis.com in a web browser at mylastname.com, and you'll see all my list of links. Look for Discord, click it. Or on TikTok, you can go to my profile, click the Linktree link, look for the Discord link. You guys go to the description box on YouTube of today's show, look for the Linktree link, click it, look for Discord. This, I have to tell you, I almost kept. I kid you not, I tried it on for a picture to put on the site, for auction. It fit me so perfectly. I am in pain auctioning this off, but I am, because this is the only one I've got. It is a medium size, and it is an American, I would call this a large-ish medium. I am between a medium and a large. This is a medium, and it fits me perfectly with even a little room. So I would say this is a large medium. If you're between an American men's medium / large, if you're between the two, this will fit you. It's Grogu, baby Yoda, dressed as a Ukrainian fighter, and he's wearing the Ukrainian military patch. Those are the patches that we've been auctioning off. Look at the little the Trident military patch. I love this thing. I'm auctioning it off because I'm being good. Callum has repeatedly told me, he's like, boss, you're keeping too many things. you can't keep it. And I was like, all right. So I am auctioning this off because we are raising money for Ukraine. And I was like, all right. But it is, if you are between a medium and a large, it's absolutely, it's perfect. It fits me. I'm between a medium and a large American men. It is absolutely perfect. Thank you, Pizdolis, for the heart. Thank you, Simon Payne. One or two more. I will show you one more. We've got another table runner, or whatever you call it. Hold on. This is another handmade Ukrainian table runner. It is, oh God, I've got the inches in my in the description on Discord. Handmade from the 1950s, 1960s. Small village in southwestern Ukraine. We've got the village there, Vinogradiv, maybe. I'm forgetting the name. The style is the Vyshyvanka style. Handmade. I always ask you guys always tell me whether this is cross stitch or what it is, whatever the knitting style is. It is from this village. It's from the 1950s, 1960s. It is the woman's family who made it is a mix between their Hungarian, Slovak, Ukrainian mix. No soy mexicano, pero hablo español. They're a mix of the three ethnicities, and it's absolutely beautiful. Now, just to show you, I mean, this thing's big. It's a very nice. It's a very nice size. Actually, you almost could, I feel like, or I could be like, hold on, Maria. That's right. You probably could use this for many things, but it is meant to be a table runner. So, but very pretty, handmade in Ukraine. As I said, Vlad. I was very impressed that Vlad picked these up because it was a very interesting, sort of interesting handicrafts, handmade, and as I said, from the 1950s, 1960s. So that is the last thing I will show you for the moment. But we've got a lot of cool auction items. All of these are over at our Discord community. Go check it out. You can find the Discord community in my profile on TikTok. You can find the Discord link. Just look for the Linktree link, click it, and look for Discord. The rest of you can find it in my description of today's show on YouTube. Look for the Linktree link, click it, go through with Discord. Anyway, like I said, I love this stuff, and I just think it's fun stuff we've got this week. So, all right, let's talk exactly my babushka look. Or I forget, there's also a Ukrainian word that's different from the Russian word for grandma, and I never sort of get it correct. Do I think China will attack Taiwan in the next few years? They want to. I think the experts are saying that they kind of think it's going to be a good 4 years maybe before China attacks, but they think China will attack. The one thing that will stop China from attacking potentially is if they think they're going to go to war with America. President Biden has said 3 times unequivocally he will go to war with China if they attack Taiwan. That has always been American policy. Trump recently said he would bomb Beijing, the capital. Babusia, I don't know. They would bomb Beijing, the capital of China, if in fact they invade Taiwan when he's president. There is pretty much a national consensus in the U.S. about going to war with China if they invade Taiwan. The Republicans hate the Chinese, hate them because, the Chinese government, right? Hate them. Democrats don't love them. The Republicans loathe the communist Chinese, the Chinese party, for our overlords at TikTok, hope they don't get upset at me. Republicans, I cannot tell you strongly enough in the Republican Party what a mantra it is to hate the Chinese. Now, what's interesting about that is that, it also used to be a mantra in the Republican Party to be anti-Russian, and all it took was Donald Trump to go, Russia's our friend, NATO's our enemy, and the Republicans all went, woo, like a Russian tank, woo, and they changed their mind, spinning around. So, so there you go. Well, it's important to specify China versus Chinese government, not because, frankly, I get tired of sort of the PC thing of it's not the government, it's not the people, it's the government. But in this case, it is important because we're literally talking about hating China. And it's not that they hate China as a country overall. They do hate the government. They don't love the policy. I mean, well, they hate the government because it's the Communist Party. It's a dictatorship. It's a brutal, murderous dictatorship. Let's see how our overlords like that one. Thank you, Joker, for the multiple gifts. Ivanka likes China too. This is true. This is true. Babushia. So Babushia. Okay, that's what it is. Babushia. Okay. Yes. Thank you for writing it. Cyrillic is because I can read Cyrillic. That's the easier way for me to be able to read things at least correctly. Anyway. Anywho. Actually, that person I would say actually mute them. Yeah. I'd say that person I'd mute for a little bit because you never know. My suspicion is they are a troll, but what if they were saying NATO doesn't stand up enough? You know what I mean? There was a small chance that person might not have been a troll, but I think muting them is fine. We'll find out. 70% of Chinese support Russia's war in Ukraine. I did not see that, but I'm not surprised. So who knows? Posted multiple times. Okay. Yeah. Then they were trolling. All right. I should trust my Ashley spider sense. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. I'm getting rid of you. Bye-bye. Anyway, do I think Trump will do time? No. 70 to 90% of these kind of cases, you don't go to jail. In addition, Trump is white. He's rich. He's a businessman. He's a first-time offender. He doesn't have a rap sheet. Typically, that means you don't go to jail. Now, I would say if you were a regular person, thanks, Ash. If you were a regular American and you did what Trump did, attacking the judge, and mind you, thank you, Derek, for the gift. After the verdict came out, Trump attacked the judge again today. In normal American criminals doing what Trump did, you'd probably go to jail. You'd probably get some jail. Let me give the dog some water. You'd probably get some jail, more water here. And anybody who doesn't think that Trump being white is beneficial, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn, because I guarantee you it's beneficial that Trump is not just a rich businessman, claims to be rich, but also that he's white, a rich white businessman. It makes him all the more white collar for the biases that are out there. So yeah. Yes, not ringing. I'm surprised you can even hear Sasha. It's her, it's her little rabies tag or whatever on her neck. But it's funny that you can hear it, because with this microphone, in principle, not in principle, this is a good microphone. It's a very good microphone, but it's supposed to sort of isolate the sound more so you don't hear as many background noises. For example, with this mic, you wouldn't necessarily hear the fact that I have 12-foot ceilings. Without this mic, you'd hear it kind of like this. It'd be more, almost not an echo. It's called reverb, but it's almost like an echo. Well, that's going to be interesting too. Bob says, what if he threatens the jurors? I mean, anything could happen. Anything could happen. First of all, the MAGA folks, what are they going to do? They're going to figure out who the jurors are, and they're going to go after them. I think. I didn't even think of that till right now, until Bob just mentioned, going after the jurors. I mean, let me put it this way. Does anybody think the MAGA folks wouldn't go after the jurors? Right? Would it be par for the course for them to go and terrorize the jurors for convicting Trump? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? That's scary. I didn't even think of that, but that's really scary. The judge's daughter had some connection with the Biden campaign, or worked for some company. I'm not sure why I care. Why? I mean, do you do stuff because of who your daughter works for? I mean, like at work, do you actually make decisions at work based on who your kids work for? I think that's creepy. I think too many times MAGA Republicans are basically doing a tell. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, and we used to get this on anti-gay stuff all the time. I did a lot of gay rights advocacy over the years, gay civil rights at the national, international level too, national and international level. And you'd get these anti-gay Republicans. And I remember there was one that I thought was fabulous. He was on Crossfire once, which is an old PBS show. No, Hannity and Colmes. It was Hannity and Colmes, a big show on Fox News, the big right-wing TV network, and with a liberal and a conservative. Hannity's the conservative. And they had like a guest on debating anti-gay stuff. And the anti-gay guest is talking about being gay 20 years ago and trying to say, being gay is a choice and it's a bad choice. And he goes, I could be gay. I could easily sleep with men if I wanted to. Like, that would be easy, but I choose not to. And he's going on, I don't, because I choose not to. I've got self-control. And Hannity's going, whoa, dude, stop. And I've heard this from anti-gay people before. Basically, and I'm going to tie this back to Trump again. Basically, the guy admitted he's attracted to men. He admitted he wants to sleep with men, right? That's because he's kind of bisexual, right? There's a lot of straight guys who don't want to sleep with men, right? I mean, but the guy assumed his biases were everybody else's biases. Like his feelings were just like everybody else's. So he assumed that all men actually are attracted to have sex with other men. They just choose not to, right? But when he admitted it, it was like, oh my, it was hilarious. Guys, this was 25 years ago. I still remember it. It was hilarious. And I feel that way when Donald Trump, the Republicans talk, right? They sit there and they say, well, your daughter works for somebody who works for a Democrat. That means you would throw your entire job out the window for your kids, whatever. And you're going, no normal person would make a decision at work based on who their daughter was working for. Like, no normal person would do that at work, right? Or, well, if it's in New York and New York is Democratic, and that means Trump couldn't get a fair trial because New York votes for Democrats. That's assuming that people would literally convict or exonerate. So that literally you would find somebody guilty or not guilty based on who they voted for president? What kind of a sick person would do that, right? Like, Biden's son, I'm fine with Biden's son I feel bad for him, and I feel bad for Biden because the son's a mess. If Biden's son goes to jail, good riddance, right? If he committed crimes and he goes to jail, good freaking riddance. I have no problem with that. Normal people like to see people who commit criminals or commit crimes go to jail, right? That's a normal thing. Thank you, Poppy. But this is, again, the Trump thing is he keeps, and he has followers, unfortunately. There is an authoritarian leaning. There's a fascist leaning. They think normal people make decisions based on, that was Larry Craig, the bathroom guy, Max. They think normal people would make a decision in a jury and convict somebody, or basically convict somebody who's innocent because of who they voted for president. That's really effed up. I got to tell you, you should go to jail. If you would make a decision on a jury based on who you voted for president, you would send somebody to prison, for example. That's really screwed up. No, and Hunter, I mean, I try to be, look, I can't stand Trump. I think he's a danger to the country, but I try to be sort of honest about this stuff, and I think there's a weirdness that comes sometimes with the attacks on Democrats, that the idea that, and frankly, Democrats, I'm sure, make some crazy attacks too. But the Trump stuff of late is telling you, I think, more about Trump than anything else. Projecting. Thank you. Danny's using the word. I was forgetting the word. They're projecting, right? In other words, thank you, Alisoni. In other words, they're sort of telling you the way they think. Thank you, Poppy, for the festival bling. They're sort of telling you the way they think, like the guy that assumed all men are interested in other men sexually, not realizing, no, that's just you. That's just you. You actually saw me when I was on the O'Reilly Factor? You did not, Mike. Or did you see one of the videos I've got online of it? I used to go on the O'Reilly Factor a lot. It was a big guy on one of the top shows, if not the top show at the time, on Fox News 25 years ago. And he used to have me on all the time. He loved me. Thank you, Poppy. Yeah, I used to go on. He liked me. He called me a stand-up guy. You're a stand-up guy. I like you. Because honestly, I would argue with O'Reilly like this, but I'd be honest. And he basically would say, look, actually, he would admit that I'd win him over on some stuff. Oh, yeah, okay. So then you were there. He would. I got my strong feelings on stuff, but I try to be honest about stuff, and I try not to play games. And it's ironic that it worked with O'Reilly. Very much ironic. I thought it was very interesting. Because he's very right wing and very dogmatic, but he actually was somebody you could win over with arguments, which was really fascinating and actually very interesting too. Really. I mean, it's something to sort of keep in mind, that even some of the most dogmatic people you see, like O'Reilly, you could change his mind, but then he got beaten up by the religious right. So then he changed his mind back again because basically I think they threatened him, or maybe Fox News threatened him, but which was too bad because he actually was getting better. So, well, there was kind of a sexual scandal thing with O'Reilly, and that's what happened. He lost his show and tried to do radio and stuff. And I think I don't even know. He tried to do radio. It did not, he kind of disappeared. Gunther, I didn't talk about it today, but we've talked about it before. I mean, we talked several times a couple days ago too, that the Georgian parliament was getting ready again to basically override the veto of the foreign agents law, which is basically a Putin era law that country of Georgia adopted in order to oppress pro-democracy groups in the country. Yeah, O'Reilly, remember there was a whole thing with a loofah and some woman working for him. Was the woman's name, I want to say she was Greek, like Macris or something, maybe? Am I wrong? Because I remember, being the name Macris is Greek, so it's stuck in my head because we Greeks remember those things. Who's Greek? Anyway, yes. Okay, so they overrode it. Yeah, we knew they were going to override it, but yeah. No, it is. It's hard, though. I mean, Jay Demos says the best thing you can do is talk to people with different opinions or different walks of life. Very true. But at the same time, it can be very frustrating because, especially lately, it feels cultish to me. Like, no, he's my guy. I'm never going to believe anything wrong. I mean, I go after Biden all the time. Right? I voted for Biden. I go after him all the time because I don't buy that kind of cult stuff. It just drives me crazy. But having said that, like I said, the O'Reilly thing surprised me in that reasoning with him. He came around on a number of gay rights stuff. Actually, that's why he got into trouble. He ended up coming around on Miami-Dade was trying to either repeal gay rights protections or pass some really horrific stuff. Remember, it was the early 2004 or so, guys. Some of you Miami folks will know or whatever. But O'Reilly came out on the side of the gay people. He also came out in favor of gay marriage in around 2004, 2005. He got asked about it and said, you know what? Knock your socks off. I don't care. A friend of mine interviewed him for The Advocate, which was the big gay magazine at the time. And the friend called me because I knew O'Reilly, so to speak. And I talked him through everything. And he asked O'Reilly, he goes, what about gay marriage? He goes, you know what? You want to get married? Knock yourselves out. I don't care. Oh, 2004, 2005. This was a big deal. You know, Barack Obama didn't come out for gay marriage until like 2012. Bill O'Reilly did it, who was the big Fox News host, 2005. The religious right went nuts. I'm sure Fox News internally went nuts. And what do you know? O'Reilly pivoted and became a right-wing nut and never came back, which was very sad. Oh, you're from Liverpool. I've never been to Liverpool. I've been to London and some other place, Frinton-on-Sea, where a friend of mine lives or he grew up. But I've never been to sort of some of the other English cities. I'd like to go. Going to be visiting Callum again in Edinburgh, so I can go see the Northern Lights in the winter, which will be lovely. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting, Demos. Okay, good for you. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Do they think Trump can do anything wrong? There's a whole psychological thing going on. There's lots of stuff going on. Thank you, Nicola, for the gift. I really don't. I don't quite get what it is of Trump supporters. I don't get whether they literally think he hasn't done anything wrong, whether there's some weird justification they go through. Well, but he's our guy. For example, you will hear a lot. Thank you, Norway Fox. And thank you, cute Linka, for the rose. You'll hear MAGA supporters sometimes say, or Trump supporters say, thank you again. Oh, Link AKA. I'm calling you Linka, Link AKA. You'll hear them sometimes say, well, but Biden did this. So I think there's also a rationalization of everyone's corrupt. So what my guy did isn't that bad because everybody does it. Or, well, my guy did this, but we all know the other guys are far worse. So there's just this weird rationalization. It's actually a very nihilistic, again, it tells you something about their worldview that they think everybody does this kind of stuff. Having worked in Washington for like 40 years, it drives me a little crazy when I hear people do, oh, everyone in Washington is corrupt. No, everyone really isn't corrupt in Washington. I've lived for a long time. They're not the nicest people on the planet, but corrupt? No, really not. There are corrupt ones here. I worked for Ted Stevens. who was a Republican senator from Alaska. He was an asshole, complete asshole. He was not corrupt, though. He was just a dick. He was horrific to staff. He was nice to the women on staff. He was horrific to the men on staff. Would berate me in front of other. He was as bad as that woman at the United Nations who was the corrupt pig I worked for at UNDP. But she might have been worse, actually. She actually was worse than him, I think, which is shocking because he was bad. But he wasn't corrupt. Like I said, corruption is not this widespread thing in Washington. It really isn't. And, Trump kind of walked in and went, I'm corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. And Republicans all went, yes, everybody's corrupt. It's okay. No, most Republicans aren't corrupt. Most Democrats aren't corrupt. No, it's really not. You can disagree with them and hate their politics. That's a different question, right? Democrats are on the left. Republicans are on the right. Thank you, Nicola. But most of them being corrupt. Neither party, most of them are corrupt. But Trump, yeah. And he's unfortunately, and what worries me is that Trump is kind of getting the party to buy into this notion that corruption is normal, right? That it's okay for him to milk the presidency for money for himself, right? Get the Japanese prime minister to stay at his hotel. It's just creepy shit, that wouldn't have been okay had any president done it before. That's the danger. It's not just Trump bad and he'll be bad again if he comes back. He coarsened the culture and made it worse and made it more corrupt and made corruption not just acceptable, but almost like hey, Trump got away with it. I can make money too with the presidency. I mean, that's screwed up. Anyway, thank you, Demos, for the rose. What else we got? What else, guys? Today was a little faster since, like I said, I had a lot of news, but I zoomed through it fast. The insider trading stuff, I will agree that, Pelosi, refused to do anything about the insider trading stuff in Congress, and I don't know why, and I think it's obnoxious. I agree. She sort of gave this thing about, well, we police ourselves. Bullshit. That's crazy. So yeah, that is corruption. Yes. It's a crime. It's not just corruption. It's a crime. Thank you, Hustler, for the glasses. It's a crime. I can't wait for Ukraine to get the F-16s either. And again, depending how many they get, up since 5 a.m. Ugh. Sorry, Sarah. Here's the problem. And again, you're doing what about stuff. TikTok, I can't pronounce your name, FSUVAC, on TikTok is saying, we're going to pretend Biden and his family didn't make money off of his political career. You're allowed to make money off of your dad's political career. If your dad's president or vice president, you're allowed to milk that name and make all the money you want. Yeah, it might be a little sleazy. You better be careful how you do it, right? But if your parent's a celebrity or a big name politician, yeah, you are allowed to make money. You're just not allowed to do it corruptly. Thank you, Louisa. And there's the difference. I don't have a problem with people making money. Don't be corrupt about it, right? And that's the deal. I mean, I don't want foreign governments paying you money while you're president or vice president. A little creepy, The Ukraine stuff, pretty sure the Ukraine stuff with Hunter Biden was after, was he VP at the time? I'm trying to remember. Was he VP at the time? First, it wasn't the Ukrainian government. Actually, that's the problem too. Sorry. It wasn't the Ukrainian government. Hunter Biden was working for a Ukrainian company. All the Trump kids were doing work with foreign companies too. You can do work with foreign companies when your dad's president, but I got news for you. You better watch it because it gets creepy, right? I mean, that's what bothers me. It's legal. But whether it's a Biden kid or a Trump kid, if you are president or vice president and your kid is meeting foreign governments, foreign companies, I don't like it, but it's hard to tell if the kid works in business. Like, what do you tell the Trump kids? You have to stop doing business around the world while your dad's president when they're already around the world. I mean, I think there was some scummy stuff going on, but I would agree it's a gray area, for example, with the Trump kids, because they've got an international business. But there's certainly room for corruption too, right? It was while he was VP, but it wasn't a foreign government. That's my point. He was doing work with a foreign company. And now you're going to say, so the children of politicians shouldn't work with foreign companies? That means the children of politicians shouldn't do international work at all. Okay, maybe, but that's a pretty broad area, you know? And again, Hunter Biden, I think he's kind of scummy. I'd love to see any of you guys who support Trump say the same thing about the Trump kids. I think Hunter Biden's kind of scummy. He's a mess, you know? Joe Biden trying to be a good dad. Your one son's dead and your other son is such a fucking mess that you're worried he could kill himself. And I guarantee you that's what's going on in Biden's head. He's worried about losing the other boy, losing him to drugs, either kill himself or kill himself with the drugs, right? Not even trying to and dying of an overdose. Thank you, Bryce. And unfortunately, that screws parents. That really screws up parents badly, you know? Oh, too bad. Did he go crazy, Ash? I tried to give a rash. Who was it? Demos? Or so who else was saying that about engaging people who disagree? I mentioned the guy that F Suvac or whatever. And apparently he went, I was trying to give him a reasonable answer and he went nuts. You try to engage people and look what happens, you know? Oh, well, you know, anyway. Yeah, that's not actually what happened, Beach House Manager, but whatever. Not to mention, aren't you kind of embarrassed that you're attacking President Biden based on his dead son who died of brain cancer? Aren't you at least a little embarrassed? Like, really? I mean, that's not to mention you're sort of suggesting that's how you'd vote for president. You don't care that the other guy raped somebody. You don't care that the other guy literally was milking money from the presidency. You don't care that the other guy called our troops suckers and losers, but you care that, you know, whether or not Biden remembered the exact date his son died, that's how you're going to vote for president. But rape is okay. And maybe you ought to think about that and what that says about you. So that's what I'm saying. I think there's some people who disagree that are basically assholes. And Trump has brought that out in people. Thank you, Super Hornet. He has made it okay to be an asshole, you know, in America and in the world today. And they're proud to be assholes, basically, you know. Thank you, Aviation. Thank you, Slickling. They're proud to be un-American, hate the troops, abusive to women, abusive to minorities, racist against blacks, Mexicans. They're actually very racist against Jews too. There's anti-Semitism on the left now among the sort of far left or the protesters, whatever. Again, a lot of anti-Semitism, but there's always been a lot of anti-Semitism on the Republican right too. They love to do anti-Semitic ads and stuff. And this has been a problem. Trump did it in the final days of the election. He did some ads against Hillary that were showing dollar signs and stars of David and stuff. He did a horrific anti-Semitic ad literally right before the election, a couple days before, going after like all the rich international Jews. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was insane. So, you know, there's fringes on both sides who do this, but you know, yeah, not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. I don't even know what you're talking about, Fusilier. I don't even know what that is. Yes, he hates prisoners of war and troops that got killed. Trump said they're suckers and losers. If you're killed in war or a prisoner of war, you're a sucker and a loser, and that's why he didn't want to visit the battlefield, to visit America's troops in Europe, who were, you know, the American cemeteries, because they were sucker. This came, by the way, from his chief of staff. Trump's Republican chief of staff said in a book that Donald Trump told him American troops who are prisoners of war or killed in action are suckers and losers, and that's why he wouldn't visit him. And and here we go. We've got Bob representing the cult here. There's no proof of that. So, Bob, you think the guy that Donald Trump picked, the lifelong Republican that Donald Trump picked to run the White House as the White House chief of staff, is lying about Donald Trump? If he's doing that, first of all, Trump would sue him. Second of all, why did Trump pick that guy as chief of staff? So Bill Barr is lying. Attorney General lied. Chief of staff lied. Secret Service agents lied. I mean, literally everybody. I mean, the number of people that Trump has picked who have, what's his face? The lawyer testifying, Michael Cohen lied. Everybody's a liar, right? Everybody's a liar. But then why would you vote for the guy if these are the people he picks to work for? He seems to pick the worst people. And he didn't just pick them like for his company. He picked them for the U.S. government. And you're okay with that. That means he's got horrible judgment. But also, let's face it, you're full of crap. You know he's not lying, right? He's a Republican. It's Donald Trump's Republican chief of staff of the White House. You know he's not lying. You know he's not lying. You're being what's bad with this country. You're being cultish, unfortunately. Thank you, Jeremy. It's too bad, you know? But that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, some of these people, thank you, Poppy, some of these guys you just can't engage with. They're being cultish. And again, all they can say, and the Russian trolls do this too. You're lying. It's like, I mean, what was it that we were talking about the other day when somebody's like, you're lying? And we're all like, that's like one of the basic facts that everybody knows. It's not even anything you could accuse somebody of lying over, but that's the way again, in the way Trump has set things up. All you have to do is say somebody's lying, and these people go, they're lying. Okay. Then I won't believe he was, basically convicted of rape. Okay. Sure. And he didn't call our troops suckers and losers. And he didn't embrace Vladimir Putin at a summit in Helsinki and criticize the American intelligence community and say he believed our enemy instead. Didn't do that. Sure. And he didn't take money from the Japanese government and other governments by making them stay at his hotels. Didn't do that. It's a lie. Sure it is. And his daughter, by the way, didn't get her patents or trademarks, I forget which one, approved by the Chinese that she was trying to get forever. Right, Trump becomes president, Ivanka gets all of her stuff from the Chinese government. Yeah, didn't happen because it must be a lie. Sure it was. And COVID went out of control. That must have been a lie. Sure it is. So, what else we got? I know I'm making it hard for Ash today. Sorry. Sorry. Oh yeah, Kushner's $2 billion. Yeah, his son-in-law took $2 billion from the Saudi government. $2 billion from the government of Saudi Arabia. If Hunter Biden did that, by the way, people are upset that Hunter Biden got a few million from a Ukrainian company, not the Ukrainian government. A Ukrainian company paid Hunter Biden to be on their board. Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, $2 billion with a B from the Saudi government. $2 billion. Okay. But I'm sure that's a lie. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. They're not, it depends what you mean by, Dallas, that they're all corrupt and enriching themselves. As I was saying, most people in Washington really aren't corrupt. They're really not. There is some corruption among some people, and unfortunately, Trump is normalizing that, which is one of the big problems I've got with him. But overall, Republicans are not corrupt and Democrats are not corrupt overall. No, you get some corrupt members of Congress. Fortunately, sometimes they go to jail. Maybe not enough, but I don't think there's a lot of corruption among Democrats or Republicans. I don't think so. Again, not yet. Let's hope it doesn't turn into that, right? But you can Google it, Emil. You'll see. Just Google Jared Kushner, $2 billion, Saudi Arabia. It was some foundation he was working with or whatever, or his foundation or whatever it was. Just Google it. You'll find the story. It was a big story. Well, no, I know that Balint, here's the problem. Balint says you talk about Hungary a lot, but don't forget that the country is not equal to the population. I think what you mean is don't blame the people for the government. The problem is Hungary reelected that jackass. You've got a pro-Russian, pretty much pro-Soviet. I'm sorry. You know what? The guy's an Eastern European dictator. Just look at him, let alone the way he acts. You elected an Eastern European dictator after everything your country's been through, and you reelected him. He got elected again. It's just like electing Donald Trump. Americans could say, well, especially this time, if we elect Donald Trump, we deserve whatever we get. First time, okay, let people say the first time they didn't know who he was. I mean, please, we knew who he was. But let people pretend they didn't know who he was. Now we know who he is. If you vote for him again, it's the people's fault. It's the people's fault. Biden is worse. Biden's worse. Hold on. Biden is worse. God, more of the troll talk. Unbelievable. Don't even know what that is, Demos. I don't even know what that is. Your neighbor in Canada is Hungarian trying to tell you how good Putin is. Oh, he's such a good guy. He knows how to keep the women in line. It's like, oh, great. He knows how to keep the neighbors in line. Nobody steps on his lawn. Yeah, great. Great. Lovely. Thank you, user 336. Yeah, the trains run on time. Exactly. No, you elected an Eastern European dictator. Basically, he's trying to be one. He loves our enemies. He hates us, hates freedom. I really do. I think he hates Europe, and you guys were fine with it. I find that sick in terms of what Hungary did. And I think population should be held responsible for who they vote for. For who they vote for? Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, Stormy Daniels, I think, is feeling very good right now. Yes. Thank you for the hedgehog, Celtic, and NAR for the finger heart. No, I am sure Hungarian politics are very complicated, like any politics. Yes. Having said that, your president's a piece of shit, and you guys voted for your president. Your prime minister is a piece of shit, and honestly, I don't care how bad the opposition is. You stand up for democracy, and you guys aren't. And frankly, that you don't even freaking care. He's literally saddling up to Putin, and you guys are okay. To some degree, I don't even care what the domestic politics are. It's kind of fucked up. I also, because I've spent my life being a political activist too. You don't like your government, you speak out. Look at the way I go after Biden. That's part of the reason I go after Biden. You speak out if you don't agree with your government. You don't just let them do bad things. I beat the crap out of the president. President Obama knew who I was because I beat the crap out of him repeatedly. George Bush's White House called me once. They weren't happy with me either, but Obama certainly did. That's what you do. And especially in Europe, you have no excuse. It's not Russia. In Russia, yeah, you can die. In Hungary, less chance of dying if you stand up to the guy. Slovakia, greater chance of dying. But, TikTok's a little more full than usual, WC. Not much more. A little bit more. I don't know whether the judge could sue Trump for his corruption comments. I don't know. Because, to some degree, you're allowed to criticize the judge, right? So it's an interesting question. Is it defamation? Probably. Thank you, Annie. Erdogan's total piece of shit. We've talked about Erdogan nonstop. Are you kidding me? Right? I've let my opinion of Erdogan be known, who's the president of Turkey, many times. Bad man. Unfortunately, Turkey's more important than Hungary strategically, so we have to kind of do stuff. Kennedy Jr., who is, oh God, that man. He's crazy. RFK is crazy. He's better than Trump. If you want to vote for him instead of Trump, go for it. But the man's certifiably crazy. Again, keep in mind, RFK Jr., he's got two claims to fame, guys. He's a lifelong environmentalist. So if you care about the environment, that's good. He's very pro-environment. And he's batshit crazy about vaccines. He's an anti-vaxxer, but he's literally an anti-vaxxer. He's not somebody who has skepticism about the safety of some vaccines. He's an anti-vaxxer. The guy said last summer, there isn't a single vaccine proven safe or effective. Google it. I even read the whole article because somebody said that's not true. And I pulled up the article and read it for like 10 minutes from public broadcasting, the entire interview and all the quotes. No, it was the fact check from Annenberg School, the fact check of all of his quotes. He's crazy. He's absolutely crazy, sadly. But the only thing, what's interesting with RFK Jr. is he might help Biden. He might help Trump. We don't really know. He's not going to win. The question is, you're going to help somebody else. You're either going to help Trump or Biden by voting for RFK, and it's not clear which. Some polls show it hurting Biden, some polls show it hurting Trump. So, Oh, he's not flipped on the environment stuff. Has he, Jason? Get out. Has he? He was super liberal on the environment, and he has brain worms too. Yes. He announced the other day that like 10 years ago, he discovered a worm in his brain that was eating his brain. And it might be true. It also sounds really screwed up, but it might be true. I don't know. I just don't know, you know? But the environment thing, that's wild. Wow. I mean, but even like on Ukraine, he takes the Russian party line 100% on Ukraine. I'm trying to think some of the other stuff RFK Jr. did that was also like, but honestly, the vaccine stuff is so crazy. Guys, he created this whole child, vaccine foundation. They came out against the polio vaccine a couple months ago. I was reading this to you guys. They're opposed to the polio vaccine because they think the polio vaccine doesn't work. Polio. We cured polio, right? Jonas Salk cured polio. We meaning the world, right? Claims the polio vaccine doesn't work and that polio isn't caused by polio. It's actually caused by toxins in your blood. It's not caused by the polio virus. That's brainworm talking there. That's my problem. RFK Jr.'s crazy. I mean, again, I don't say crazy metaphorically. He's crazy. Jill Stein. Jill Stein is pro-Putin, yes. Calling Jill Stein pro-Putin is like, I don't even know what to compare that to. That's being timid. Yes. Jill Stein. I'm afraid of saying what I really think about Jill Stein because I don't want to be sued. I worry about what motivates Jill Stein. We'll leave it at that. I've gotten all the boosters I need. If there's another booster, I will get it. I like vaccines. I actually just got the RSV vaccine. I'm a big believer in vaccines, so. Because I'm a big believer in science and facts. I kind of like science. Ben Stein? No, never met him. I know who he is, of course, but yeah, bless her heart. Yeah, I would say most normal thinking people believe in vaccines, but again, this is part of this larger sort of bullshit thing out there of everyone thinking, oh, well, I'm allowed my own expertise. I can Google, and Mr. Google there's people on Google who will tell you that this is unsafe. And you're like, okie dokie. I did get the shingles vaccine because I had shingles. It was not fun. Oh boy. I saw all those ads for the shingle vaccine and was like, what is this? Like they're promoting this so much. It feels like it's a scam. And then I got shingles. Actually, I wanted the shingles vaccine and my doctor told me, he goes, you're not old enough. I said, really? I said, okay. I said, I've read it's not a good thing. 6 months later, I kid you not, 6 months later, I got shingles. Oh, not fun. Yeah. Tyrantula. Yep. Not fun. I was lucky. My shingles went away in 2 months. I was so freaking, you had shingles at 29 and 30? Oh my God. I was so lucky my shingles went away. The doctor was telling me, first of all, shingles, it's from the chickenpox virus. And you can have a flare up. It creates a rash. The rash can be anywhere on your body. If it's near your eye, you can go blind, very bad, but it's anywhere on your body. And the rash is nerve pain. And because it's nerve pain, it's pretty difficult to stop unless you take narcotics or God knows what. Because I asked my doctor, he goes, there's really no pills you can take because it's not pain. So taking Tylenol or whatever pill you take, acetaminophen or paracetamol, whatever you guys call it, right, doesn't do anything because it's not real pain. It's not real pain, right? It's not psychological, but it's the nerves inflamed. Very difficult to do anything about it. And the doctor told me, he said, well, you can get there was a shot for it. Maybe it was the vaccine, but there was a shot you can take within 5 days. He goes, take the shot. It might help. It may not. And I said, well, how long is the pain going to last? And he said, the pain could last a few months. It could last as long as a year. It could last forever. I was like, it could last forever? Guys, the shingles pain was like somebody inserted a knife into my back and the knife was still there. That is what shingles felt like. I remember during chickenpox, anybody who's had chickenpox, I don't know if I had a unique experience with chickenpox. I got it at 16 and maybe that's why I remember it more because I was 16. And I remember the feeling at one point, the pain from the sores. It was, again, nerve pain. It's the exact same pain you get from chickenpox sores at that one point when it hurts, which at least for me, it hurt. But it's over a big part of your body. Okay, I'm going to stop being gross because it's really creepy. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Vicky. That is my pitch for shingles. You don't want shingles. Oh my God. I mean, oh my God. Electric shock. Yeah, mine, like I said, mine was literally, it felt like there was a knife in my back and the knife wasn't coming out for 2 months. Oh, and I couldn't sleep on my back too. So I had to like sleep on my stomach and my side. I mean, oh my God, it was just horrible. Absolutely horrible. Actually, I think it was stretching from my back to my front a little. This is how I learned to sleep I never used to sleep on my side. And I think this is how I learned to sleep on my side. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. Thank you, Vicky. Knife in the side is what your dad said. It was a knife. And the thing is, the knife didn't come out. So you're just this constant pain. Oh my God. Yeah. Any case, thus, I would never tell people no medical advice, but I was very happy to get the shingles vaccine. Oh, you've got permanent damage from shingles, Jen? Constant nerve pain? Like today still? Wow. And Pubelin says, once you get shingles, it shouldn't come back. Sometimes it does, but it shouldn't. Oh my God. Oh, from a car accident. Okay. I'm sorry, from shingles. Although that still sucks from a car accident. I think it meant from shingles. Okay. But yeah, some people do get shingles is bad. And the vaccine helps you not get it. And it also helps you not get it again, which is good. Oh no, I was happy to get the shingles vaccine. Now the problem with the one thing I'll say with the shingles vaccine is it's 2 shots. The first shot I had no reaction to. The second shot, I felt sicker than a dog for 3 days. I mean, the second shot was just like a horrific flu. And everyone I talked to said the same thing. Everyone I talked to, I think it was chickenpox. I don't think it was pneumonia. I think it was chickenpox. Yeah. That second shot knocks you on your ass and it's not fun. Robert's saying the same thing. Yeah. Not fun at all. But, now WC, but at least, better, trust me, but I had shingles. I much preferred 3 days of feeling sick from the shot because I had shingles. It was worse. So your son 19 got shingles. Holy crap. That's crazy. Wow. Well, that's interesting, SD. I didn't even know. Anyway, interesting that at least it's working. It sounds. Only one outbreak. Oh God. Oh God. Excuse me. Oh. Yeah. Scary stuff. Yeah. I mean, but again, it's, again, I'm a big believer in vaccines. So, and again, having had shingles, let me tell you, you too would be a believer in vaccines after getting shingles. Very common for 19-year-olds. Crazy. That's wild. Wow. Yeah. Hopefully it gets better. I mean, that's crazy though. Your dad had double vision from it. Well, that's the danger. If it comes near your eyes, it's very risky, video of the Russians attacking Russians. No. There's a new video out? Let me pull this up and look at Twitter here. Excuse me. Oh, hang on here. Come on. Oh, come on, guys. I hate this when the Twitter app won't advance. It's very annoying. Oh my God. There it is. Thank you. Wow. Her twins had chickenpox. Oh God. Oh, too young to get the vaccine. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I got chickenpox because like the vaccine, I think came around basically I was too young for the vaccine. I mean, it didn't exist when I was young. Wow. See, this is what's sad and screwed up. The Heritage Foundation, which is like the top Republican body, the top Republican think tank, they just put a picture on Twitter showing the American flag upside down. It's not just a sign of distress. It is the symbol of the election deniers, which is really scary because they're like violent, tried to overthrow our government. It is also considered one of the most offensive things you can ever do. Turning the flag upside down is considered supremely offensive. I mean, I was a Republican. I worked for Republicans. It's the kind of thing you'd expect a far left liberal to do. And no offense, but it is not the kind of thing a conservative would do. You don't put the flag. I mean, literally, unless the Russians have invaded and taken over the country, you don't put the flag upside down. It's offensive. It's offensive to our war dead. And they're doing it because Alito's wife did it, or whoever, and Donald Trump got convicted. And this is what is so dangerous about what Trump is doing is, as I said, he's corrupted Republicans in this town. He's corrupted the Republican Party leadership, and he's turned them into something else. And right after Memorial Day, right after Memorial Day, they're doing this. And basically insulting our war dead. This is what this guy's done. It's really screwed up. It's really screwed up. Ugh. I do not, Nikos. No, I have no kids. No kids. Just looking here at the news. Russian channels are reporting a large-scale attack on military targets in the Belgorod region tonight. That's interesting because that would suggest the Ukrainians might be using the American HIMARS and other weapons to attack across the border, which would be great. David, I don't know a single veteran other than you who thinks hanging the flag upside down might be okay. Literally, not a single veteran who loves this country thinks that. I've never met a single person who had his head on straight and loved this country who thought hanging the flag upside down was normal and not offensive. Of course, everybody knows it means distress. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's a child argument. Seriously? What did you Google it? I mean, like once you're 10 years old, hanging the flag upside down means distress. That's not a defense to say, well, it means distress. We know it means distress. And it's used to symbolize fuck your country is what it actually means in today's parlance. I hate to even use the phrase because our TikTok overlords are going to get upset, right? Well, don't defend it. You know what? Don't defend it, because I don't defend veterans who basically defend Donald Trump and his bullshit, because the guy hates veterans. He hates our troops. He hates our country, and he loves our enemies, and he hates our allies. So I'll put my bona fides up any day. Glad you fought, but you know what? If you're supporting people who hate the Constitution, I'm not gonna defend you for that, and I'm not gonna let you get away with. I mean, seriously, I love this. But people who were in the military but basically don't love the country anymore think that they can don't believe in the Constitution, don't believe in democracy, think somehow they're sacrosanct from getting criticized. No. If you don't love the country, you're going to get criticized. So, guy tried to violently overthrow the government. You're not a good person if you support that. Not today, because we all know who Trump is now. People may not have known who Trump was. I mean, didn't know who Trump was. Everybody knew who Trump was. Michelle Obama's mother just died. Marion Robinson. She was 86. Thank you, Poppy. Oh, that's sad. Her mother had popped up in the White House repeatedly. She was very sweet. Well, that's sad. 86, pretty old. Looking here to see anything else about this attack across the border in Belgorod. And then we're going to go. Lots of video coming in from Belgorod, air raids in Belgorod. So a lot of this happened about half an hour ago. The attack, hopefully it's the Ukrainians using our weapons to go after the Russians. That would be lovely. Looking here. Yep. Large scale attack. Explosion was heard in Vinnytsia. That's Ukraine. Hang on, looking here. Right. The Russians are attacking all over Ukraine. We know that. Okay. Interesting. All right, guys, we're at the hour and a half mark. I'm going to call it quits. Thank you for joining us. I'm not going to do a summary because once I go an hour and a half, I don't do a summary. Thanks for joining us, guys. This is great. Appreciate you coming. Oh, long story, Demos. We'll talk about that another time. We'll talk about that another time. Oh, I get trolls all the time, Hustler. Are you kidding? Poor Ashley's dealing with it. She may be dealing with it alone tonight. I don't know. Sorry, Ash. Sorry. But what do you do? We get the, I will say at some point, like I'd love Ashley or somebody to take over the show because I like banning trolls. It gives me a sense of joy. I don't know what it is, but just like getting rid of bad. And I mean, trolls are basically people who are there to disrupt. They're not people disagreeing is fine, but somebody who's there to disrupt and be an ass. I love blocking them. It just makes me happy. It just makes me happy. So, any case, yep, hang on a second here. Oh, I hate when it does that. Okay, it's not gonna tell us. All right. TikTok its translation function is not working, so I can't tell you. Well, Olgi Shara, not sure what you're saying. Going to Dumayesh. What do I think? Klasny President. I'm not sure what you're referring to, though. I can only read enough Russian to know what do you think of something President. Budget vremya mi pagavarim. I don't know enough Russian to be able to understand your question, and TikTok's function isn't translating. Sorry. I can only read enough to know what do you think about this and mentioning president, but I don't know the name. Klasny or something? I don't even know what that is. My birthday isn't until November. My birthday is always around Thanksgiving. But thank you, Trex. Assuming it's not like a, something with a fuse on it. But Ron DeSantis is a bad man. I don't think he's Donald Trump, but he's a bad man and he's got Trump leanings. DeSantis has done a lot of really kooky, but I mean, here's my problem with DeSantis, actually. Ron DeSantis, what bothers me about Ron DeSantis is he's a Twitter troll. DeSantis rarely comes up with policies to actually help things. His entire presidential campaign and preparing for it, right? Because he was running for president. So 2 years before when he was governor of Florida, everything he did was let's piss off the liberals, right? Let's ban books in schools. Let's try to get teachers arrested if they teach, history or whatever, right? COVID. He picked a guy to run the state health office who's like a COVID denier. He's a nut. And like everything DeSantis does is just trying to piss off the liberals. I think that's screwed up. I just think, like he's like Medvedev in a way. I just think it's there's something weird with the guy. Again, there's other Republicans. I don't like Nikki Haley. I don't agree with her on anything other than Ukraine, but she's normal. She's just really conservative. She's just really conservative. DeSantis is so fixated on pissing off liberals that there's like a mania there. And again, what he did with COVID, he was worse than Trump in many ways with COVID. I mean, man, just very, very screwed up. Yeah, very screwed up. No, and again, he's not just conservative. No, well, Nikki Haley's did, yeah, but I'm not gonna. Again, I differ on this. I don't care if you're super conservative. I mean, I care, right? I mean, I vote for you, but I'm not going to say you're like illegitimate. Trump is illegitimate because he's un-American and anti-American. And he tried to violently overthrow the government. The man should be in jail at the very least, right? Nikki Haley, I just think she's way too conservative for my tastes. And she's way too conservative, but that's okay. You know what I mean? There's a lot of Republicans who are way too conservative for my taste, but that means I won't vote for them. I don't think that means they don't have a right to be president or it's somehow illegitimate. Trump is different. And and I think it's important to make that distinction, right? The problem with Trump isn't that, he's too conservative. He's a Democrat anyway. That he's too conservative. That's not the problem. It's he's un-American. And he broke the law a lot and he tried to violently overthrow the government, No, currently Biden. Who else am I going to vote for? Who else do I want as president? There's only two people that are going to be president come November, was it 5th or 6th, whatever the date is. It's Biden or Trump, guys. There ain't nobody else. So pick one. But I'm going to pick the guy who didn't try to violently overthrow the government. Thank you, Memphis. And didn't spend 4 years doing atrocity after atrocity after atrocity, where every single one of his senior staff pretty much came out and said, this guy shouldn't be in office. His own Secretary of Defense. had to call the other generals and tell them, if this guy declares war on China and tells you to nuke China, call me first. That literally happened with Trump, guys. People are forgetting. Remember the last few weeks of Trump's presidency, okay? Not his Secretary of Defense, his chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the top general, Trump's general, who he picked at the Pentagon, had to call the other generals and say, if Trump declares war on China and tries to cause a nuclear war, don't launch. Call me first. Thank you, Jerry. I mean, that's how dangerous things are, and so dangerous things were with him, right? No Republican president was like that. No Republican president. Ronald Reagan, again, disagree with Reagan if you want. I actually like a lot of Reagan's foreign policy. Democrats hate Reagan. I don't care. Reagan's foreign policy, pretty damn good in many ways. He knew how to stand up to people and stand up for the country internationally. Reagan would never pull that kind of crap that Trump pulled. Reagan loved this country. Trump doesn't love the country. You can't defend the man. Thank you, P. Clark. And again, if you're somebody who can't sit there and make a difference between like right and wrong because of who you voted for, I don't want to hear from you. I really don't. You know, is my life better under Biden? Sure. Are you kidding? My 401k is doing so much better than it was under Trump. Second of all, I get to see my mom now. I had to go for a year and a half because of Donald Trump. I didn't see my mother, who was in her 90s at the time and could have died. I missed Christmas, and I think I missed Easter twice and Christmas once, that I didn't go and see my freaking family and my mother, who could have been dead because of Donald Trump screwing up COVID so badly. Am I better off now? You better believe I am. And by the way, I'm not under threat of somebody violently overthrowing my government in a coup right now. I was under Donald Trump. So yeah, is it better to not have a coup d'etat and overthrow the Constitution? Yes. Thank you, Championess. So yeah, I'm better. And just from a money perspective, oh my God, I've got so much more money in my retirement account now than I did under Trump. Although, frankly, I think it's bullshit anyway to do that because the presidents don't determine the stock market. But people like to do that. You know, the economy, yeah, the economy is so much better now than it was. Not so much better, but it's better. Well, it's better under Biden than Trump. Under Trump, it got decent. It got good. Still better now. And then it went bad during COVID. But again, Trump let COVID get out of control. It's much better under, it's not much better, but it's better under Biden now than it was under Trump. Not much better because Trump, it got good too. Low unemployment under Trump, good economic growth. Economic growth actually has been higher under Biden. Economic growth was higher under Obama, but until Trump screwed up COVID, economic growth was good. But again, this is the problem is, you know, when Republicans want to pretend like, oh, things were so great under Trump, they're actually better under Biden. So with the economy, so okay. You know, but I'm not going to lie and say the economy was bad under Trump. Again, COVID disaster for Trump, but otherwise, you know, but it's true, you know, much better now. And again, the stock market just hit an all-time high in all of American history under Biden. If it happened, by the way, under Donald Trump, he nonstop talked about the stock market and how high it was and how he did it. Okay, if Trump did it, then Biden did it now. You gotta, you know, you can't have one and not the other. If you're going to brag when the stock market was high under Trump, then brag when it's high under Biden. So am I better off now? Hell yeah. And again, I do like the fact that, you know, I'm not worried about having a violent coup d'etat to overthrow my government and throw the Constitution out the window and cease all American elections. But that's me. Those kind of things make me happy. So, all right, I'm going, guys. It's late. We're an hour and 40 into this. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Remember, tomorrow morning, we've got our coffee talk at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. We'll be on TikTok, Discord, and YouTube simultaneously. That's for the monthly subscribers. That's everybody who's got SNN next to the name, like Poppy and Jen and others. It's everybody who's got a green name on YouTube. Join us at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. It'll be a small group. It's a nice hangout. And do check out the auctions. Remember, at our Discord community, it's over. Go to my profile on TikTok. Click the Linktree link and look for Discord, click it and go over there. Look for the auctions. Same thing for you guys. Go to the description of the show today on YouTube, click the Linktree link and look for Discord. All right, I'm going. Have a good night. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mark Body, for the rose. And thank you, thank you, mods. Thank you, mods. Sorry, Ash. Sorry, Ashley. Ashley had some fun tonight. Oh, well, we kept her. Ashley got a workout tonight, so that's pretty good. I guess she's still muting and blocking people. Oh, Amanda, you're there too. Hey, Amanda, I thought you were off tonight. You said you might not be there. I figured it was Ashley alone. But I'm laughing that as I'm saying goodnight, I'm seeing Ashley like, Ashley blocked, Ashley muted. She's like got her finger on the pulse of the trolls today. Oh, it's not fun. I mean, it is fun. It is fun. You are here. Then thank you, Amanda, too. Like I said, I like blocking trolls. There's something very cathartic about it. Dobra nić. Good night. There's something very cathartic about it, actually. But but it can be frenetic. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. See you. We'll see a bunch of you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll be back Monday at 6:00 Eastern. All right. Okay. Boop. Turning off YouTube and then turning off you guys.